Part 3, cooking down the sap to make the syrup. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that I do. It's actually a pretty long process. I'm on average about 50 to 55 gallons of sap per gallon of syrup, which is based on the sugar content that you have in your sap. Everybody's probably a little bit different. So what I've done is I've created a couple of barrel stoves. I have these 2 barrel stoves here. Started with 1 barrel stove, and then I doubled my productivity by building a second. I got a nice evaporator pan on the right-hand side there with some channels in it that add some extra heat into the sap, and it evaporates faster. I keep them stocked with wood, and I added this blower motor here, which is actually a carpet or floor drying fan, and I can run it on low pretty efficiently with the two flexible pipes feeding the fire. It's almost like a forge in there. I get these barrel stoves really cooking down. But I started a couple hours ago, and you can see already the steam just rolling off, and this back pan by the heat coming up the chimney is just hot, cooking down. So what I'll do is I'll skim the foam. I'll filter it as I go, cook it all day. Started my day early this morning, setting up the stoves, digging them out. I got to split some more wood over here, keep my fire filled, stocked, and I would guess I have about 120 gallons of sap today to cook down. And I have to go collect the rest of my sap also. And the weather has been beautiful, and it's probably running pretty well. My hot running tree on the corner here was completely full. So that's what we're doing today. I got to cook it down. It's going to take most of the day to cook it down, and I'll come back in a few hours and show you how the filtering and finishing goes inside. And after I finish it, then I bottle it up, and yeah, that's mostly the process. So I'll show you a bit more in a little while. Got a nice good rolling boil there, evaporating like crazy. This setup is pretty easy to get into as far as the cost. You just get some of these chafing pans. You can load them up, cook the sap down pretty fast. I'll share some links with where to find these pans and stuff. Key is using good stainless. As I'm going, I like to skim the foam and get the foam out of there. Just kind of helps along the way. Doesn't boil over as much, and sometimes organic materials drop in here, like little leaves or bits of ash, and that'll all come out. That'll all filter out. I've got some really aggressive filters, nice thick cloth Orlon filters, and I'll use like 4 pre-filters as I filter this towards the end. But along the way, like I said, I just kind of keep skimming the top, take off the foam, and keep my boiler going and the wood stocked. All right, so we're back inside and dumping it through the filter. I did 1 pre-filter already. I've got 3 pre-filters and this thick Orlon filter. I'll rinse it out, rinse all of it out in between, but look at the color already. So we've been cooking for a long time, but it's looking good, and the color is looking awesome. It smells really good. So I bring it inside and I finish it on the stove so I have a little bit more control, and I can filter it a bunch to make sure that it's nice and clear. This is really handy for filling the bottles. Much better than a ladle and funnels. Got my bottles staged. So I have a dozen 12 ounce and a dozen 8 ounce ready to go. Got my bowl of lids ready to go. I'll lay them out on these towels here on the counter, let them cool, lay them on their side. This cap I picked up this year from Burch Bottle has a nice tamper-proof ring on it, so you know once it's been opened. That's kind of handy. Last year I used shrink wrap around the caps to show the seal was broken. This is much better for my time and cost. It makes things a little easier. But we're still cooking it down. This is the inside second boil. That's I filtered it twice so far, and I'll filter it likely 2 to 3 more times between now and when I go to bottle it. And when I bottle it, I'll make sure that I'm at 180 to 190 degrees max, so that I bottle it, and the niter and sugar, sand, and other things are not going to be present. I hope. That's how I do it anyway. So I'll show you what it looks like after I get it bottled. So I've rinsed out my filters, put them back in. Again, I have 3 pre-filters, and then this Orlon, like thick cotton filter, works really great. I put these binder clips on the top so that the inside pre-filters don't crumple up and fall in there as I try to pour this. I'll pour from one pot into the next and run it through the filter, and then bring it back up to temp. Do that again. The more I filter it, the cleaner and nicer it gets, and I make sure I get all that niter out. Now it's getting really close. I did just check my temperature with my thermometer. We're just about 7 degrees above the boiling point of water, and you can tell noticeable difference in the bubbles. Pretty soon this will start boiling, and the foam and the bubbles will start climbing up the sides of the pan, and that's really my visual indication that we're really close to syrup and just about ready to bottle. So that's what it looks like. It takes a long time to get to that point. I'll come back and add some of the times in here when I have a chance to look at the clock, but actually took this off of the stove outside, brought it in, boiled it for a couple hours inside, let it set overnight, and fired it back up this morning. So sometimes you got to do that if you want to sleep during the maple syrup season. And it looks good, and it smells amazing inside the house right now. Here I'm checking for the bricks using the refractometer. I want it to be about 66 to 68. So this pot or kettle really makes the bottling process easier. I used to use the ladle and funnel approach, and that was a lot of work and a big mess. This, I'm able to transition it off, and we put the caps on right away, lay them on their side, and as I go, I'll just check the temperature to make sure that I'm still within my bottling range, 180 to 200 degrees. And then if I need to bring it back up, I'll bring it back up. Might run it through the filter again if needed, but trying to push through this bottling process with an extra set of hands as fast as I can. It was a pretty successful first boil. I have 12-ounce bottles and 5 8-ounce bottles. I really like the way these little 8-ounce bottles look. Everything matches. We'll get labels on them later, but beautiful, beautiful amber color. Nice looking syrup, and it smells and tastes amazing. Everything is all cleaned up, ready to go for the next batch, except for the floor. It gets pretty messy, and the dog. But I gotta rinse out my filters, get those all cleaned up, and get those ready for the next batch later today also. Best to clean everything up right away, not let everything get sticky, because it gets more painful to clean up as you go. All right, looks like an awesome harvest.